Flare Up show. I'm so excited to have our special guest, a fellow Canadian, which is always exciting. So, special guest, tell us who you are, where you live, what you're known for, what is your area of expertise?
So many questions. So I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, and my name is Natalie Wong, and I'm an image and mindset consultant. So what
Mhm.
I do is I support people who want to have a deep transformation. So I have a kind of a unique take on things. I work with the inside and the outside. So the inside is changing your mindset, your beliefs. I use hypnotherapy for that. And on the outside, changing your appearance, behavior, communication, I use my skills as an image consultant to support people who want to tweak a few things, look better, present themselves better.
Yes. And I'd love to actually talk about the outside part first, if that's okay. What is the definition of image? Because it's not just about traditionally beautiful or being a certain size or shape, right? Like image means portraying something.
Totally. So your image is your personal image is what you present to the world, what people see about you. They'll notice your appearance, your behavior, your communication. That is how you show up in the world. Your self-image is how you think about yourself. So what
Mm.
are your beliefs? What are your convictions? What are your thoughts? That's all part of your self-image. It's the inside part, the only part that you see. That's the best definition I can share with you. Kind of simple. Self-image inside, personal image outside.
Mhm. How naturally do the two flow together? Like, are people out there really aware of that their inner thoughts are on display, or are people really good at masking, which is a topic I love as someone with ADHD and an autistic child. Masking is very, very common.
Well, I think most of us, if not all of us, show up in the world a little bit differently. We are authentic for the most part, but we don't, show up in our robe to the grocery store. So we always we mask
Really
it.
don't,
We
but there are
know
people that do. Yeah. More power to them. Very much, yeah.
well, authenticity goes so far. So I think people mask because they know what is acceptable in the world, but there comes a time where you can't fake it anymore. You just have to you just can't. It's like I want to be myself, but how can I be myself in the best possible way? Because being yourself is not being mean and grouchy around people. It's learning how to you can communicate your thoughts in a good way, in a positive way that is respectful. So it comes a point where you want to be yourself and you're tired of masking it. And you say, you know what? I want to find out how I can release all the negative emotions that I carry. And I want to present myself in a way that I appreciate and that will be appreciated by others.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you touched on something that I think comes common with people that mask. It's almost like an extreme display, right? Or of this is the way I am, just accept it, or extreme introversion, right? Like where they're sort of literally covering themselves up with all sorts of things. It's really fascinating. Is this something that's come naturally to you? How did you find yourself in this space? Was having confidence and displaying the best version of yourself something that you were born with, or is it something that you also grew into? Is there a story there?
Oh, of course, there's a story. But there's always a story, right? We are where we are because of the journey we have taken. So, just a little side note here, confidence fluctuates for everyone. It's not like fixed. Some days you have more, some days you have less. Some fields you have more confidence in, some fields you don't, right? So it fluctuates. So my story is I wanted, for as far as I can remember, I wanted to be a teacher. I always loved working with students. And that's the path I chose. I became a teacher. At 21, I started teaching. And even though I loved being a teacher, social interactions were not super easy for me. So being a teacher is not just standing in front of the classroom delivering content. There's a lot of personal interactions with the students, but also the parents, the administrators, your colleagues. And I made tons of mistakes. I would just say it like it is, and it didn't always work out in the best way for the people receiving my message. So over time, by making mistakes, I learned to tweak and become a better communicator. And also, one skill that I acquired in my years of teaching was becoming very, very observant of my students. Because when you motivate people to do their best, for some, you just need to say a pat on the back, and you can see they are just like, this worked for them. For some, it's not going to do anything. So observing and noticing the physical reaction, the body language, the facial expressions, I could really say, oh, this works, this didn't work. How can I do better next time? So this process of observing and reflecting on what worked, what didn't work, really made me really, really good at communicating.
Mhm.
And over time, my career got better and I got to relate to people better. It became super easy for me. So my confidence grew and I became really good at it. And about 8 years ago, I decided to take a break from teaching. I took a year off to be with my children and to volunteer. And I volunteered at an organization called Dress for Success. I don't know if you're familiar, Chrissy, with this organization. Yes, I'll just really sum it up quickly for your listeners. It's an organization that supports women who want to enter the workforce or return to the workforce and may not have the resources to do so. So I was a volunteer in the boutique, and I would see these women come in, and they had low self-confidence. They would come and they would be a little hunched, and their voice was very small. And after finding outfits for them that they could wear to their interviews, I could see, like within an hour, it was unbelievable, the transformation of their body language just by wearing clothes that made them feel beautiful and powerful. It was like, wow, like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. It was amazing. And I just got addicted. And I said, I want to work with people to give them that confidence to transform. And that's when I decided to study image consulting. And I found out that image consulting, is so, people think image is just clothes, but it's so much more than that. It's your body language, it's your behavior, it's your attitude, it's the words you choose, it's the clothes you wear. So that was a path for me to transform myself, to use the skills I had acquired through my years of teaching, to use everything I learned through my training as an image consultant. And then I thought, how can I give people I work with even more confidence? And that's when I made the decision to study hypnotherapy. And
Mhm.
that completed the cycle, because not only did I have the skills to help them look good and present themselves well, and I had the communication skills that I had learned through my teaching, I had the skills now to support my clients to change their mindset and to let go of all those negative emotions that were showing up in their body, in their interactions. So I gained my confidence from my career and from the studies that I've gained and from working with people and making tons of mistakes. So I hope this answers your question.
Yes, it does very much. I love that you touched on becoming more, I guess, intuitive or learning about individuality with people and understanding that not everybody requires the same fix or is motivated by the same thing, which I think makes what you do extremely valuable, because that takes a connection, it takes an engagement, it takes a caring, right? To really look into a person and to see what they need, what lights them up, what doesn't light them up. And I find this fascinating because the work that I do in coaching as well, but also in the corporate world with leadership, that's the point that we try to drive home a lot, is take the time to recognize the individual. Even though it takes longer, you can't paint people with a wide brush. There isn't one thing that's going to work for everybody. Right. So I really admire that your practice does that, that it recognizes the individuality of the people that you come into contact with, that you see actually what does make them shine from the inside and help them bring that outside. I think that's really admirable.
Well, I think you said it, take the time. That's it. You just need to take the time, ask questions, and asking good questions. People, the best thing, the best feeling I get is like, oh, when I ask a question and people stop and they pause and think, oh, no one has ever asked me that before. And then I know that I'm doing my job well, because if they haven't been asked that before, it means that maybe they haven't thought about it before. So when you go deeper, when you get those deep answers, you're able to really make a decision as, okay, where do I go with that? So take.
Yes. Yes, it gives people a little bit of confidence. It gives them that space to know their own mind for a minute, right? And to actually have a quiet second to think. It's Brené Brown has a quote about um comparison. You mentioned this right in the beginning about what's acceptable by society, right? If I don't fit in, and that's that comparison piece that often does mess with our insides. And she describes it as comparison is the pressure of competition on one side and conformity on the other. Be like everybody else, but be the best at it. So what you're doing is changing the game, which is we all have our own best. And even ourselves have different bests throughout our weeks, days, sometimes even hours,
Yes,
right?
totally. Yes. But it's a fine balance, like you want to be authentic, but you know that you can't be authentic. So I think if you're able
Decorum, yeah.
to know the difference and to adapt,
Hmm.
still yourself, but you adapt. And I think that's really the key, and being okay with who you are.
Yes, 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 yes. So when you start working with someone, do you start traditionally on the outside or inside or both, or does it change per clients?
I get asked this question a lot, and it really depends on the client. The deepest transformations happen with the inside, right? When you let go of all the junk and really clear all those negative beliefs. But it depends where the person is at, and I take them where they're at. Sometimes they come and see me and say, like this afternoon, I have a client who's coming for a color analysis. Color analysis is about finding the right colors to wear for your skin tone so you can really shine and, present yourself well and find the best clothes for you. That is a quick fix, just like when you go get a haircut. You look in the mirror and say, oh, it feels good. It's one way. So sometimes that's all they need. People are confident, they just need a pick me up. But sometimes it's the opposite. They come and they say, I have low confidence. I want a promotion at work. I don't know how to speak up. So I go with the mindset. I use hypnotherapy. And after that, I say, oh, I have more confidence. Can you also help me develop, a style portfolio for me based on my style, my body shape, and so on. So they come at the point they're at. Like if it's one thing, I'm there. If it's the other, I'm there. I'm really good to adapt and to answer my clients' needs.
Yes, I love that. Can I share a humorous story with you about my own experience?
I would love that. Go
I
ahead.
I love these. I love these examples. I I think in life I've had the ability to look better than I'm feeling on the inside. Definitely inner work that needed to be done, but it was really funny because I had a family member that lives far away, and we talked a lot on the phone, or we would see each other at family gatherings, right, where you put together and you're saying the good stuff, right? You're not really, people ask how are you, they don't want to know that you're slowly dying on the inside. They it's not why they ask that. They want to hear you're fine. And so it was really funny because she had to come into town and she wanted to stay with me, and I was like, yeah, that's great, let's do this. And she came and we had a long chat on the couch, and she saw how I lived and sort of some of the stuff that was going on at home, and she said, can I give you a compliment that's actually going to sound like not a compliment? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm down. What do you got to say? She said, I thought you were perfect. You're a mess like the rest of us. You're a hot mess just like all of us. You give me so much hope. And I was like, oh, well, I'm glad that it looks good on the outside. But this
Mhm.
is real life, right? This is real life. And actually, that did actually get me to be like, there's probably a little more inner work to do, which led me on a whole nother journey, which was really lovely. But it just made me laugh so much because I was like, oh, don't put me on a pedestal. But it's interesting how sometimes people's perception of our images or the things that we're portraying, we have to work on that piece inside of us that believes that that stuff is true. Otherwise, we're wandering around all the time trying to prove it, right? And that gets exhausting.
Totally. And it's know when to share. If you're going for a job interview, you you don't want to show that side, right? But I think when people see that they are surrounded by people who are just like them, it just increases the feeling of connection. And by showing that side of us, that's how we can make connections. If we're perfect all the time, people will say, well, I don't want to be with her. I'm not like her. People like people who are like them. So I bet after that that conversation you had together, were you closer?
Oh yeah, we're super close. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
there you
spend a
go.
lot of time on the phone having crying or laughing or yeah. So it's we have yes, yes,
And
absolutely.
how wonderful to have someone in your life like that, that you can totally be yourself.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. After that, I always said, if you really want to get to know somebody, sleep with them. And I didn't mean like physical. I meant like actual sleep. Like spend time in each other's space for more than 24 hours, and you will get to know some real things about people really really quickly.
Yes.
Which is great because then you're like, oh, I've discovered all these really wonderful and quirky things about you. To me, I'm like you, where I enjoy the curiosity and I love the observations, and it's not judgmental. Some people have a little more difficulty with that or worry that it is judgmental, but it's really not. It's sort of like, oh, you're this tapestry with all these colors and textures. You're a real person. And to me, that fascinates me more than anything. And that makes me love people more, is to see all their so that's what you mean, right? It's connection and engagement.
Totally. And you have this podcast, it serves
Yeah.
that purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is my happy space. This is where I
Yeah,
love to
there
be.
you go.
Yes, yes, yes. So you
Yes.
mentioned hypnotherapy. You also use some other modalities. Can you share a little about them? There's RTT and NLP. Can you
Yes.
share with listeners what those are?
Sure. So RTT stands for Rapid Transformational Therapy, Hypnotherapy. So it is a form of hypnotherapy. It's a little bit different than traditional hypnotherapy. Traditional hypnotherapy is about putting the person in a very relaxed state and giving suggestions, and that's a session. Rapid transformational therapy, you put a person in a relaxed state, you go back in time and you find the root of the
Mm.
issue that the person wants to solve, get rid of. And by learning the root cause, you're able to go and change it. You're able to go and transform that belief. And a lot of beliefs were formed before we were 6. So when we were 6, we believed in Santa Claus. We believed that, whatever we were told, it was truth. People say children are like sponge. Yes, it's like a sponge, and it retains the water until you're old and you're ready to release all the dirty water. So when you go back in time and you can go and look at those beliefs and understand that you believe that when you're 5 and say, it's not true anymore, you can release it. And after that, we put in the suggestions, exactly what you want in your own words. And I make a short audio recording of those wonderful, powerful suggestions that I ask my clients to listen to for 21 days. So it is a powerful process. It takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours to happen, but it really goes to the root cause, and it's like the name. It's rapid. Like 2 hours, you change your beliefs. It's transformative, and it's a form of therapy. So that is rapid transformational therapy, hypnotherapy. NLP is another form of, it's the study of excellence, is how you communicate and present yourself and relate to people in the world. And another thing that I use that is part of NLP is timeline therapy, to release a whole lot of emotion, negative emotion, shame, anger, sadness, resentment, and so on. And it happens effortlessly. You just look back through those emotions, release them. You don't have to relive them. You just release them. And after 2 hours, or no, not what am I saying, 2 hours? After just a few minutes, you just feel this, this sense of lightness that comes from letting go of all the junk that you have been carrying. And image consulting, helping people with their behavior, communication, and appearance. So those are the modalities that I use in making transformations in my clients.
Yes, I love NLP because it relates to the science behind neuroplasticity, right? We are literally changing the way our brain fires information and processes. We're rewiring ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, which makes for that transformational change, right? Because if we can clear some of the potholes or the ruts that our brain has gotten into, which is expected after life and experiencing similar events, doesn't mean all the events were the same, definitely similar. But if we can change the way we think about them or view them, that makes a big difference in the way we can behave, regulate our emotions, our parasympathetic nervous system. It's all related, mind, body, which is what you do. You
Yeah.
connect it all together. Connect it all together. Beautiful. So how does a person know it's time to give you a call and learn more about how you could help them?
Today. Call today. When the person is ready.
Yes.
Yes. When you look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to release weight. I'm ready to get a new look. I'm ready to let go of the past and to just like start living today. That's when it's time to make the call. And follow up. I have a lot of people who reach out. They do the first step. They reach out. And then I say, okay, let's have a quick Zoom call and let's see how I can help you. And then they go, they don't reach back. So you have to make the first step, the call, the email, the text, and then do the consultation. And when you're ready for that, then you're ready to contact me.
Perfect. Good. Good. Thank you. Is there any other last words of wisdom, or is there something you would really want people to know most about themselves?
Listen to your intuition. It's all in there.
Yes, very wise words. Thank you so much for your time. It has been lovely speaking with you and having you share. This is just really excellent information. Please check out the show notes for Natalie's information on how to reach her and get in touch with her and have a consultation. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chrissy. It's been lovely chatting with you. I enjoyed my time.
Thanks.